What's up, everybody? Brennan Edwards, your tech specialist here from the Curse of Akakor, and I want to give you guys my takeaways from episode 6 of, like I said, the Curse of Akakor. All right, so my first takeaway from episode 6, as you guys can see, there is Moose and Megan on the waterfall. The wind changes direction, and the waterfall starts pummeling her and beating her, and it's pretty bad. But like Moose is there to help her and like reel her up, but they're talking to each other through the walkie-talkie the whole time. And one thing they don't show you guys is that I'm actually on the same channel with them the whole time. And I'm like, I'm flying the drones and I can hear everything that's going on. And like, if you could see my reaction, they're like, oh, she's like, oh, I'm getting hammered. I'm just like, ooh, wow, because I was listening to the whole thing and it's like I heard how intense it was for her and I heard how intense it was for Moose, but my hands were tied. So that's why I wasn't even showed, because there was literally nothing I could do but fly the drones and watch it from the sky. And I actually lost visuals on Megan when the wind did change direction, so I couldn't even see what was happening because the whole waterfall just like shifted and covered her, and I was just like, all right, well, best of luck, Megan, I believe. If anybody can survive this, it's definitely you. Up next, we have Eduardo. Eduardo was like our guy that took us out on the plateau because he knew the area. He was Brazilian. I really liked Eduardo. I just want to give a shout out to him. He was really cool. He's the kind of guy that like, he has a story for literally everything. Like as we're walking, he's like, oh, you see that purple plant right there? Yeah, you can eat that if your stomach hurts. Oh, you see that little bug? Actually, hold on a second. He'll just eat it. And you're just like, did you just eat a bug off the ground? He's like, oh, bro, these are delicious. If you see another one, you definitely have to have it. I'm like, oh, yeah, cool, bro, no problem. But I wasn't about that. But he was always doing something like that. Like for every question I had about the jungle, what was going on, Eduardo was just like, oh yeah, last time I was here, this happened. And he was telling us about other like adventures he had been on out there. So it was really fun to work with him, and he was extremely knowledgeable of the jungle. So again, shout out to you, Eduardo. Thanks for coming with us. All right, so we descended the mountain, which we'll get back to. And then we got to this, the cave thing with the doorway. And I said something evil could be inside the cave, as you can hear, like as you watch the episode. I'm like, there could be something evil in there. And guess what? I was right. There was bats, and bats in a lot of culture, in a lot of places, could be considered creatures of evil. I personally, in general, do not believe bats to be evil. I think they eat mosquitoes. I think mosquitoes are evil, so I appreciate bats over mosquitoes. So bats, when they are not evil, unless they're vampire bats that will suck your blood, which did exist in that jungle, which Martin did talk about. And we didn't get close enough to find out if those were vampire bats or not, because I didn't really want to know. But either way, there were definitely bats in there, so I was right about there being something possibly evil in that cave. All right, so now it's time to go into this cave place. Guess who gets to go first? Not me. I was like, hey, it's time to go in there. And Megan was like, I can't wait to get in there and see what's going on. I'm like, that's all you, girl. You head on in there. Martin, sir, right this way. And I even say that on camera. And I'm just like, why would I go first? Like, there's nothing to be gained by me being in there and being attacked by something and looking not as brave as, of course, I was. They went in there first, and I 100% support the decision of who went first in that instance. All right, so let's talk about the hike down this mountain. Now, before I get into that, I want to show you guys something. Here's a short clip of me on top of the plateau before we descended it. They didn't show this that well in the show. They showed a little bit, oh, wow, look how crazy it is. But I want you guys to just take a moment and look how high up this is.
Not a big move. Right now,
it looks like the ocean.
Right here, before these guys go down, we could just put everybody.
It's not. That's the jungle. And we're standing on top of these cliffs. See this cliff? But it looks like the ocean because we're so high above it, and it's so evenly, like everything is so flat down there. It looks like it's the ocean.
We'll cut him out. We'll do it.
Now, as you saw, that was absolutely ridiculous, and we had to descend that, and it was so intense. It was like half the day of literally descending the size of a rock-faced mountain. There were some trees, there really wasn't any kind of cover, so it was really hot, so we were getting beat down by the sun and heading down. This ranked up there with the Pecky boats up the river in episode 1 and 2. Like this right here ranks up with that, with how difficult it was to get down the mountain. So we get down the mountain, we get to the anomaly thing or whatever it was, like the tomb thing, and it was like, whoa, that was really hard. We got here, and then as soon as we got there, we're looking at it, and the sun sets. So time to set up camp. But that was a really, really tough day. It was a really tough day. Shout out to Paul and Bobby. Guess what? They done did it, guys. They done did it. They made it. They are in the jungle now, looking for clues in the actual jungle. What, it only took 6 episodes for them to get into the jungle to really make some stuff. Guys, your hard work will never go unnoticed. I'm here to make sure you guys get all the props. Congratulations. You guys made it. I'm proud of you. Hats on for you because you're now in the jungle. All right, so you see Megan showing this bird-eating spider, which is really funny because she like turned into like a nature specialist in that moment. It's like, let me show you guys how to. But she did that, and that's funny. That one right there that she's talking about was actually the one after we went to bed. We woke up next to that thing. Yeah, we set up camp. Woke up, and I got out of my hammock, and I'm like, okay, cool. Let me grab my backpack. And that spider that she's talking about was on my backpack. Like that thing that's bigger than my hand was on my backpack. Can you just imagine like the how awake you'd be in that moment? You're just like, I literally already had touched the backpack by the time I realized it was there, and it was terrifying. And I even had turned around and lifted up his butt because it sprays like the hairs at you and gets them in your eyes, and then they irritate you for days apparently. Yay! It didn't do that to me because I did not scream, but I jumped back and got away from it. But it crawled off my backpack eventually, and that's when Megan was like, "Hey, let me tell you guys about this bird-eating spider." But just want to let you guys know, that, like, the spider started off with me, and so thank you, spider. Shout out to you for helping me wake up that morning. All right, so now it's time for me to explore. Now that we pulled out of the tech gear, which is funny to me that Martin was like, "Now let's pull out all the tech." I feel like that should have been my line. But either way, we pulled out the tech. He pulled out the bug zapper, which really wasn't a bug zapper, the X-ray zapper. I pulled out a drone. I pulled out a metal detector, looking for like signs of human stuff. But that's not the point here. The point is I want to point out that if you notice, I'm not just walking with a metal detector. I'm also walking with a giant machete in my other hand. And as I'm entering, you can even see me do it. Like as I'm entering the cave thing, like I'm like tapping the sides of the wall with the metal machete for two reasons. Number one, I'm trying to scare the bats out of there. And number one, scare them. Number two, make sure they know what it is. If there's anything else in there, it's like, yo, here's a big metal sharp object I'm walking in here with. You can get all the problems if we want to have any problems. So just want to make sure I was protected, and you guys understand that's the way to do it. You got to go into a creepy cave. You know what I'm saying? You're trying to figure out some metal detecting stuff. Well, just bring a big piece of metal with you because it helps. I promise. At least it made me feel better. Okay, that's the last part. All right, and last but not least on this episode, one thing that they did not show as much as I think they could have is that we had to, after we went down the plateau, the next morning we woke up, we had to go back up. And that was an all-day event. To climb up a 1,000-foot rock face, carrying all of our stuff, it was extremely intense. Extremely intense. Like, that was so hard that there's like a halfway point where you stop and everybody was just like dead. Like, dead. So, yeah, I mean, everybody that was there with us, like, man, mad props. We made it. Everybody made it. It wasn't easy for everybody. I'm not going to throw some names out there who had real struggles getting back up. But some people almost pretty much had to be carried back up. And it was extremely difficult. And, we did it. I don't know how I feel about it. If I'm happy about it it just was really hard. It was really, really hard. Climbing in general is hard, but climbing in the jungle is exponentially harder because there's just so much more happening. So, yeah, I don't recommend it. All right, guys, thank you so much for checking out my recap, my recap of episode 6 of The Curse of Akakor. Obviously, I did all of them for every episode, so you should go check all of those out. Some of them are particularly funny. I particularly like episode 1 the most. Check it out. But either way, more fun coming in episode 7. You guys got to stay tuned and check out my reaction too. So I will see you then.